Um, I just wanted to say, good morning to all the faculty and the students here. My name is, like I said, is Clay Cowell, and I graduated here in 1996, and it's many moons ago. Like, I think my picture's like way down there now. So don't blink, guys. Time goes quick. We have got a little bit of an issue plaguing our schools. Okay, it's no secret, and it's bullying in a lot of different forms. It's actually not just our state; it's our country, and we need to be aware of what's going on and what we can do about it. We can't go on deaf ears and just ignore it. It doesn't get us anywhere. And we, as a people in our little community, can do something about it, and try to get some resolution to this problem. Bullying, by definition, is seek to harm, intimidate, coerce somebody that is perceived as vulnerable. Forms of bullying, can be physical, verbal, social, cyberbullying, racial, religious, disabilities. People with disabilities get bullied all the time. And the new one that's kind of came across the board is called sextortion. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that, but we're going to go into that in a little bit. The other day, I was watching a movie, and the Meg Part 2. Has anyone seen that one here? Yeah? I watched that intro, and it intrigued me. So I'm going to play that intro here for you guys. I just want you to watch. There's no sound clips. The message here is what I'm going to portray. So you have the fly. Gets eaten by the lizard. He's going to cruise down here to the beach. Everything's hunky-dory. And he's going to get eaten by a big one. It's a really good movie if you guys haven't watched it. These guys are just having a good old time, and when you're in the bushes, there's something watching them. So, look up and see what's going on there. Something's not right. Well, here comes the big one. Right? He's going to take that guy. Run out here in the ocean and try to get an easy meal, right? And I don't know why it came to me when I was watching this, but it just, something clicked. We're going to try that here in a minute. It's a lot cooler with sunlight. So he's out here now, he's got the roll, and these guys are running for the lives. He doesn't even care, right? He's just going to do this. And out of nowhere comes the apex predator. Okay? When I watched that movie, I looked at it a little different. I looked at it as, no matter where you're at, in this school, you might be the biggest, you might be the baddest, you might be the meanest, but let me tell you something, you're not. You're going to go out in this big bad world from here, and you go find somebody that's bigger and meaner and badder than you. So we have a decision to make here. Do we want to be that guy or that girl? There's always adversaries out there. And the one thing that I thought about when I watched that video is if you're a lesser dominant than the apex, there's safety in numbers. You can't tell me that 4 Tyrannosaurus Rex is going to do the shark, you know what I mean? So on and so forth. And that's the point I was thinking about. It's like, you don't have to, even if you are the biggest or the baddest or the meanest, 12 kids against one big bad bully, you don't stand a chance. Bullies often are that way, and I'm saying this because I was one. I graduated in this school. I was a senior in this school, and I was not nice to a freshman in this school, on the football field or in the hallway. And I'm not proud of that. And when I was raising Jade, I told him all my garbage. I told him all the things that I did wrong or I could have been better, to try to make him a better version of what I could have been. You know, many of you guys knew him, and you know, I hope that's the facts. I mean, I hope that he did what his mom and I set up to do. So we're in this world, and we're in this together. And we kind of were talking last night, Dallas and I, and we were thinking to ourselves, you know, if somebody could do or put their energy into do something good for somebody, instead of being mean to somebody, can you imagine what that would be like? I mean, it's a fairy tale world, I get it, but think about it. If everybody could just get along and help each other and lift them up when they're down, it would be a great place. Because the thing that we don't get, you guys, is there's a lot of kids in here, or when I was in school, that have things outside of the school that they're dealing with. They're dealing with possibly parents that belittle them, that treat them like crap, or a sibling, or a boss. And for some of those people, school is the safe haven. So why would you take that away from that kid? Why should they have to go and deal with that and then come to this place and deal with it here too? It's not fair. It's not right. So, some signs. You gotta say the signs. The signs of a victim. There's depression. Okay? They're gonna be kind of withdrawn. There's gonna be anxiety. There'll be a low self-esteem. There'll be fear of going to school. Difficulty sleeping. Stomach aches. Headaches. Ultimately, thoughts of suicide. I'd like to show you guys a slide of the Montana stats. That's not cool. That is true facts, people. We in Montana are number 1 in the nation. You know, thoughts are one thing, deeds are another. Okay. I'm here today because I've witnessed 2 young men this last year get pushed into a place by outside forces of destructive, malicious, corrupt intent. Okay? I've had enough. I have watched these people's families go through absolute hell. I just want to put down the boxing gloves, you guys. Let's put down the gloves and start giving hugs. You know? It's kind of a slogan in my opinion. You know, and let's just do that. You know, you kids have it rough. You do. When I was your age in this school, I did a lot of dumb, I'd say a different word, crap. Okay? But the difference is, we didn't have cell phones back then. Who in here has a cell phone? Smartphone? Who has it? Raise your hand. Huh? Everyone, right? So here's the difference between me and you guys. When I went out and did really dumb stuff on the weekends or even in this building, it was stories. That's all it was. People would tell a story about what I did. There's no proof. What's the difference with you guys? Any guesses? Video, pictures. Everyone has it. Okay? What do you think happens to those pictures and videos? Huh? Get saved? What else does it do? You know? It goes to your what? It goes to your platforms, your Snapchat, your Instagrams. Now, what are we, 150 people in here, right? Give or take. We just uploaded that to thousands, hundreds, millions. Now people are watching the things you've done across the country, across the globe. The bad thing about that is, and I'm not too techy, but I understand that there's commissions given or there's money made for most views and this, that, and the other. There's no way to earn money, guys. Why take somebody else's misfortune and benefit from that? I don't get it. I don't get it. I can't imagine posting a pic, and I'm sure you guys have maybe witnessed this yourselves, I don't know. But just imagine you take a pic in like this new cool outfit or whatever you got, or an award you got, and you got people out there in your following list that don't even know you. No idea. They don't know nothing about you, right? And start saying things to you like you're fat, you're ugly, you're undeserving, you're worthless. People do that, guys. They feed on it. They love it. I just can't imagine living in the area you guys live in. It could be hard to be in school. You know, everything that you do, everything that you say, you have to watch, you know, because it will haunt you. The thing is also, is you guys think these things can go to leave. They don't. You know, as many of you guys know, Jade, my son, went to the Air Force. I think everyone knows that. He went into a job that was classified. It was a classified job that he had to have special permission, special credentials to get into. And what do you think the Air Force did, number one thing, when Jade wanted to go in this? What do you think they did? They searched his social media. So you guys be careful about the stuff you're putting on there, because in the future you may go to a job or have a resume and turn it into a company or whatever. The first thing anyone does anymore is we will look at your name on our application. The first thing anybody does is Facebook you. They'll look you up. They're going to want to see what kind of person you are before they even waste their time. So if they see pictures of you out there getting crazy and drinking and raising hell, next. It's that quick. It's that easy. I mean, for us to make a decision as employers or military or colleges, they're all going to do the same thing. So just be aware of that. It's a thing. You know, another way that we can look at bullies, and I was thinking about this the other day, is the good old terrorist group ISIS. We're all aware of them guys, right? Yeah. Well, has anybody in here ever heard of ISIS stepping up to a military base and saying, we're here to pick a fight with you, Army, we're here to pick a fight with you, Navy, Air Force, Marines? You don't? You know why? Because a bully will never take on somebody their own size or stature. A fear of getting their ass kicked. Period. You know what ISIS does? ISIS takes 2 planes full of innocent people and flies them into 2 buildings. That's how they fight. They put a bunch of bombs in a van and drive into a crowded marketplace and pull the trigger. That's how they fight. So think about that if you're out there doing things like that to people. You know, if you're gonna pick a fight with somebody your own standing. Best off not to fight alone. As you guys walked in here, a few guys are given cards. Everyone who has a card, put up there. I'd like you guys to come down here for a minute. I know, here it is. See, you guys wanted one, and now see what happens.
Oh no. It's not that bad. Why people find it? Why'd you say that?
Alright, so we should have about 52, give or take, there might be some jokers in the deck. According to Montana statistics, okay, in a deck of cards you got red and black, okay? Montana statistics says, as per 100,000 people in Montana, this would be a correlation in our state, in our population, of how many youth, ages 10 to 17, have had thoughts of suicide. Okay, and then there's a percentage in here that actually did it. So if you're this will represent out of our population in Montana, how many kids either thought or did suicide this last year. If you're holding a black card, you guys can go back. If you're holding red, stay back. Thank you for coming down here to be the river. Okay, so we got the reds remaining. So here's your number. This is how many kids. And look around, these are your peers. These are kids, we don't know if they're the star football player, or the thespian, or the water. We don't know who they are. They're all different stuff. Nobody's impervious to going, okay? And nobody is above having thoughts put in their head by other people to push them to a place that they can't come back out of. This represents, you guys, how many people in Montana last year took their own lives. That's too many. It's too many. Ages 10 to 17. These people haven't even lived yet. They're still kids. Out of these 26, you guys can sit down. If you're holding a king, I want you to stay back, please. I told you guys earlier that I have two people in my life, my personal life. I had two people in my life that I knew take that final step. These two right here are representing those two. The first one I would like to mention is Waylon Schaefer. You can say if you want. You can do it. Thank you. Waylon Schaefer is from Missoula, Montana, 16 years old. Last year, he got involved with an app called WhatsApp. And his dad told me the story. It was a typical Tuesday morning. He was getting ready to head into town, take his kids to school. They always rode together every day. Waylon came up to him in the morning and said, "Dad, I think I'm going to ride the bus today." You know, Jason, my friend, he's a high school kid, probably doesn't want to see his dad drop him off at school. I get it. Okay, ride the bus. So Jason and his younger brother took off to school, and Jason got to work. And he got a phone call from the school about 2 hours later saying, "Where's Waylon? He's not here." Jason said, "Well, he was just a typical teenage kid. He's probably playing hooky somewhere. Got stuck in the McDonald's parking lot, who knows, right?" Didn't give much thought to it. The kid led a very normal life. There was no red flags. There was no nothing. Jason said, "Yeah, just give it another half hour. He'll have time." Well, a half hour came on in. The school called again, said, "He's not here." Jason knew something was wrong. So we drove back out to their house. It was about 5 miles outside of Missoula. And he pulled up to his house, and the first thing he noticed was Waylon's vehicle was missing. Jason instantly knew something was wrong. He walked into the house and he found a note. And it said, "Dad, Mom, if you're looking for me, you'll find me in my fishing spot." Jason knew what happened. He walked into Waylon's bedroom before he left just to make sure he wasn't playing a joke. And he found on the floor his bank that he kept his money in, and there was $33 on the floor. 33 bucks. Didn't make any sense. He's like, "Is he running away? What's going on?" So they drove up to the fishing spot and they found him. And he had taken his own life by a tree. That's how we found him. They didn't understand why. They didn't understand what happened. They had no idea. Turns out, Waylon was on the WhatsApp and he met a girl. Okay? And they started talking and he was falling in love with this girl. And it took a little bit of a turn. And provocative pictures started getting shared. Her first. Come to find out, these pictures were all uploaded and filtered from porn sites. It wasn't even her, it wasn't even a person. He didn't know her. So Waylon, in turn, took pictures of himself and sent them back to him. Well, it wasn't a her, guys. It was a them. And when them got a hold of those pictures, what do you think they did? They said, "Waylon, if you don't pay us $40, 40 bucks, you guys, we will post these pictures to your family, to your church groups, to your peers at school. We don't care who, we will let everybody see these." So he panicked. He went to his room, he cracked open the safe. He didn't have enough money. He was too embarrassed to go talk to Mom and Dad. That's embarrassing, you guys. What is he going to do? Who does he talk to? So we went to his fishing spot, took care of it. It's happening here, guys. This is in Montana. A little town outside of Missoula. That happened. These people, mind you, investigation is going on. Jason's not alone. There's other parents that he has met along this journey that happened to their son. Star football players and valedictorians. I mean, I'm telling you, it's everywhere and it's happening. And they will come after you because these people don't even live here. The people that are infiltrating him are from Nigeria. It's crazy, you guys, and it's real. I told you there was two left. There was Waylon, and I think it'd be fitting for his dad, Preston, to tell you the rest of the story about Preston. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Good morning, herders. Like Clay said, my name's Dallas. I'm Clay's cousin. Let me tell you a little bit about why I'm here, and bear with me, please. This could be difficult. This young man is why I'm here. You all. I know a few of you in the room, but most of you don't know me and I don't know you. But I have a genuine love and care for children. Like they said, September is Suicide Awareness Month. You know, I don't want to make this all about suicide because for me what this is more about is bullying and kindness. But I do understand a little bit about it. You know, I bear a mark, a tattoo. I don't know if any of you can see it. It's a semicolon. And for those of you who know about the Semicolon Project, the story goes that semicolon signifies a pause in the story, or a pause in the sentence. It's not the end, the period is the end. A semicolon signifies that I've recognized that my story is still ongoing. See, I'm a combat veteran, and I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder from some of the things that I've seen in combat. And so I have struggled. I have struggled for over 8 years, or over 18 years now. This young man, he turned that struggle for me. He turned it the other direction. I found my strength in him. When Clay asked me to be here, we talked about if we can reach one person in this room, either a student who has been bullied, someone who's been a bully, someone who's witnessed bullying, if we can reach one of you, that's enough for us. It doesn't sound like a lot, but Preston was just one person. He was a lot more than that to us. I'd like to ask you guys to be honest with yourselves and honest with me right now. I'd like the adults in the room to not cast judgment. Teachers, superintendents, principals, if you can, just turn a blind eye for a moment, because I want honesty out of these kids. Who in this room has been bullied before? I have too. Who feels like they've maybe been a bully before? Most of us at one point or another, whether we realized we were doing it or not. Who in here has witnessed someone being bullied before? Again, most of us, if we're being honest with ourselves, we've seen it. I want to read just something that I wrote not long after Preston passed. Never in a million years did I want to have to make this announcement, but here I am. This beautiful soul, our dear son, and my hero, not to mention it, he had become my best friend, left this earth forever on Wednesday, March 8th, 2023 at 6:47 a.m. He is no longer in any pain, nor will anyone ever be able to hurt him again. He's with the angels and all of our loved ones who went before him, who were not fortunate enough to have met him on earth. I'm sorry I could not protect you, my dear boy, but your death will not be in vain. I know I'm quoting lyric, and that might seem cliche, but I truly can't think of a better way to describe how we're feeling right now. We're truly jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. When I say Preston's death will not be in vain, I knew right away what I had to do. See, Preston was relentlessly bullied. Relentlessly bullied. Look at that smile. The kid was athletic. He was smart. He excelled at everything he ever did in his life. We tried to give him the power to do that. We tried to empower him to be himself. We tried to teach him to stand up for what was right. Stand up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. He did all of those things and did them better than I ever could have. But when I say that I knew what I had to do, I knew I had to carry on his mission, and that was to stop bullying. You see, Preston wasn't always just bullied himself. Like I said, he was athletic, he was charismatic, he was kind. Look at the smile. I mean, his smile was intoxicating. It was contagious. You couldn't help but be happy if you were around the kid. being here today, this was kind of my dream. I never wanted to do this for this reason. But I thought, we really truly need to stop this epidemic of bullying. What's gained? Really, what do you gain by making someone else feel horrible? Like Clay said, you never know the situation someone could be in. They might have lost their dog that day. They might have lost their grandparent. They might have a parent at home who treats them like crap. What do you gain? Like I said, Preston stood up for what was right. He stood up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. One time, when Preston was going through some really hard things and becoming a target of bullying himself, it was because he was standing up for his best friend. Now, we knew that his best friend was reaching a point, and his parents had reached a point where it had gotten so bad they were pulling him out of school and moving him to a different one. Now, we're from a small town. We have 50 students, give or take, kindergarten through 12th grade. Now, this is a community that we should all be doing everything we can to help each other. That's no bigger than a family. Than an extended family. Instead, what do? What do? We look for that edge we can have on people, whether that's being better at sports, being better at school. Put people down. Again, what do we gain? Clay mentioned cell phones. And I got this point from a conversation that Kevin and his wife had when they were on their way up to my son's funeral. And Clay said, I don't get it. I don't get why the bullying is so bad. And Melissa told him, he said, we had bullies in school, we handled it. We took care of it. And Melissa brought up the most excellent point I could think of. This thing right here, this smartphone, it's always there. When we were kids, believe it or not, cell phones were just coming around. We're talking the old bag phones, and maybe a flip phone if you're lucky. But we weren't constantly monitoring our social media, our text. At this point, when the bullying stopped at the end of the school day, it stopped. It might carry on into sports, might carry on into, whatever extracurricular activities you have for the day. But for the most part, if we had a loving family at home, it stopped. That was our safe space. Now that phone is going off all hours of the night, Or for someone who's anxious about our situation, our social situation, we're constantly looking at our social media. Not only does that portray everyone else as having some perfect life, because let's face it, most of us don't put up the sad crap. We don't put up the things that are wrong in our life. We want people to see our good things. So we see everyone else having this perfect life, and someone throws a post up, it's making fun of something we did someday. At some point in the day. The point is, it's never ending. So, you guys are at a hard point in history. There's no escaping it. So you have to take it upon yourselves to do better for one another, to do better for yourself. You have to empower yourself. If you're not there now, at some point in your life, you're going to find yourself in a part of the world where your last name might mean something. It might mean some sort of importance. You're born of some prestigious last name that in your town that fictitiously places you above everyone else. Or your last name might mean that you're a nobody. Or worse, there might be negative connotations to your last name. I'm calling on those of you who have that last name that means something to use it for good. Look to that person who you can see struggling, and seek to raise them up. I can tell you that you might not recognize it now, but as you get older, as you reach a point in our life, and I realize that I'm putting all this out here that's, I know I'm talking to high school kids because I was one. Adults, we don't know a lot, right? Through your experience, you will realize that to be able to lift someone up, that's gonna make you feel better in time than putting someone else down ever did. When you reach my age, you will look back on the things you did. When we lost my son, my mind kept going back to a kid in our school that was bullied. And I thought, man, I couldn't take my mind off of him. Did I do enough? Did I do enough to stop what I saw happening to him? He was younger than me. I was a senior, he was a sophomore. Did I do enough to stand up for him? No. Did I pick on him at times too? I probably did. I know I did. The day of my son's funeral, that young man came up to me and shared a story with me. And this whole time, he'd been on my mind. I'd been thinking, man, I wasn't good enough to this kid. He came up and told me that I had saved his life one day. See, he'd just taken a beating from a kid a year older than him who was a bully. And this kid's home life was rough. He had moved around a lot. He'd never been able to establish himself in any place. And so what did he do? He sought to put someone else down to make himself feel better about himself. It's one thing you'll find about bullies, is that often they're more miserable on the inside. And they can't feel good unless you feel as bad or worse than they do. Anyhow, I'd come upon this kid in the locker room. We were getting dressed out for basketball practice that afternoon, and like I said, I was a senior, so the younger guys, we all just kind of hung back and let them clear out because we didn't want to deal with their BS. I mean, just bickering, squabbling. Keep in mind, there's only 2 of us seniors. Again, small school. So we hung back. Anyway, I walk in on this kid, and he's kind of just putting himself back together because he had just taken a pretty decent beating from this guy. He's laying there, he's scraped up, he's bloodied up, his nose is bleeding. And I was enraged at that point. Because, I didn't like a bully anyway. I'd been bullied when I was younger. And now I was in a position to do it. And I was ready to leave that locker room and go deal a beating to this kid. But in that moment, that young man told me, no, you're not taking the heat from me. You're not going to get in trouble. You get kicked out of school. You get suspended. That's not going to happen. He said, just let me be. I said, well, I'm not going to let you be. And I took that moment and turned my anger into kindness. If I can't do anything else for this kid, I'm going to help him out. And I helped clean him up. I helped, clean the blood off of him. Wiped him up. Told him, you don't have to put up with this crap. Nobody has to put up with this crap. You don't have to let someone else make you feel bad about who you are. Nobody in this room ever has to let someone else make you feel bad about who they are. And if you're the person who's doing that bullying, I ask you to look inside yourself. Put yourself in their position. I know that's hard to do because, like I said, in most cases, a bully is already hurting themselves inside. Look at yourself and ask yourself, you know, if someone could lift me up and make me feel better, wouldn't that be the answer? Anyway, I hope this kid cleaned himself up, and it wasn't until, I graduated in 2000, this is 23 years later. This young man told me that after taking that meeting, I was done. I'd taken it for so long, I'd put up with it for so long. I was just trying to find the courage to go home and put an end to myself so I didn't have to deal with that pain any longer. He said, knowing that someone had my back, that's all it took. Knowing that there was someone else who'd been where I was and was willing to help me out, stand up for me, empower me. That's all it took to get me on to the next day, and then the next day was a little bit better. And the next day was a little bit better after that, and after a while, the words just, they didn't hurt as much. You know, the other thing about cell phones that Clay mentioned last night, that, you know, this is the point that he wanted one of us to bring up, is we're all in Montana here, we know what a gun is, right? You know, you got a pistol here, you got a cell phone here. Those are both weapons, those can both be used as weapons. You don't realize that cell phone can be a weapon, but it absolutely can. You can use that as a tool to hurt someone. Just don't. One more thing that can be used as a weapon that we don't realize, because maybe it's not as immortalized as a text or a social media post, is words. You know that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That just shows my age right there, right? Probably all don't even hear that anymore. But words hurt. They hurt your soul. Beat me all day long. I can take it. Like I said, I've been shot at, I've been blown up. As a combat veteran, I've been through some things and seen some things that nobody should have to see. Words hurt. You can still hurt me with words. By nature, people are herd animals. Since the beginning of time, that's just a fact. From the cavemen, Native Americans, Vikings, everyone in this gym is a descendant of the people that were tribal in nature. In history, if the Native Americans wanted to show their displeasure with someone, they would shun them. They'd push them out of the tribe. That was the worst thing that could happen to a young man, a young woman, is to be pushed away from their people. That shows me one thing, that belonging is what's truly important to us. At our core, we can tell ourselves all day long that we don't need to belong to a group. We can just go it on our own. It's just not the case. We all need people. We all need to belong. So when you make someone feel like they're not belonging to a group, see, that was one of the things that hurt my son the most. The physical abuse, he was a tough kid. He could stand up for himself. In fact, they wouldn't deal out, No one would throw the first punch. No one would do that because they were afraid of what he could do. So they found another way to cut him down. Whether it be that they were jealous because of his natural abilities, and let me tell you, I'm a straight shooter, people. I'm not that guy that would stand up here and preach that my son was perfect, because he wasn't. But if my son was a dirtbag, I wouldn't stand up here and tell you that he was good. Either. I wouldn't be standing up here preaching how great a human being he was. But he was. Kid left big shoes for me to fill as a man, and that's something that I never thought that I would say about my own son. But they made him feel like he just didn't belong. This is a kid that, from the beginning of his school career, from kindergarten, he had been with them. He had no reason not to belong. He wasn't some transplant out of a different school. He'd been there his whole life. I don't know if I've filled enough time, but I'm not here to fill time. I'm here for my words to connect with you. Preston was 14 years old. And I've had a lot of people tell me he was wise beyond his years. I've had adults come up to us afterwards and say that they could be having a bad day. And Preston could turn their day on its head. He could make their day go from bad to great. Why? Because he was a middle school kid, right? When most of the middle school kids were shy, or just didn't even want to talk to adults. They'd look the other way when they'd come upon him. Each and every person he would meet, if he'd only met them once in his life, he would call them by name and ask how they were doing today, and he truly cared. That young man lived a lifetime of 14 years. He had wisdom that I'm still trying to gain. The good ones really, truly go first. I'd like to share with you a few words of his. You see, this bullying, it had come to a head when Preston finally stood up for himself. Again, small town, he dealt with it mostly in sports, and that's how we knew that it was coming from a place of jealousy from these kids who they'd worked their butts off all year long. And Preston, he'd worked his butt off all year long, but he wasn't on a basketball court. He was my sidekick on the farm. He was working day in, day out, and that's where he wanted to be. If I was up till midnight, he was up till midnight. If I was up around the clock, he was up around the clock. He didn't have a whole lot of time to be spending with sports. And that was by his choice. But when the basketball season came around, it became evident that he had a natural ability, a natural talent. And that what was important to him was making everybody else feel, the younger kids, feel like they belonged on that team. That bothered some of his classmates that were his age. And they attacked him for it. Time came around, he finished his junior high season, and in 8th grade, in turn, they'll pull you up and you play high school basketball. And at first I thought, man, it's not what I want for him, because I just watched the constant barrage of bullying that he'd taken. And I thought, there's some upperclassmen that can kind of watch things and make sure that kind of crap's not going on, build some team cohesion. It got so bad that Preston I could tell he was miserable. We had told him to stick with it, stick out the year. He started the season, finished the season. It got so bad to the point where we couldn't preach that to him anymore. I said, man, if it's this bad, quit. He took away that access to himself to be bullied. For a couple weeks, everything was great. One thing I forgot to mention is that this kid, you know, we talk about suicide, we talk about, you know, mental health issues that are underlying. When he started being bullied and we started seeing issues, we hadn't seen them therapist. His initial diagnosis was that, you know, there was no evidence of any underlying mental health issue, that his issues, you know, the symptoms that Clay talked about, the depression, the anxiety, the stomach aches, the not wanting to go to school, and ultimately the thoughts of suicide, those were a direct result of the bullying that was going on. So he took away that access for a couple of weeks. Things were good. He was happy. And anyhow, then they started in on his mother. His mother was a teacher in this school. Now, I don't know about y'all, but as a dude, if you talk about my mama today, you're probably going to find the floor pretty quick. I'm not promoting violence. That's going to happen. Talk about my wife today. Talk about my family today. Come at me, but don't come at my family. So he took a swing. Ultimately, he was suspended for it. So at this point, we opened an investigation into bullying. This is a few words of Preston's, and I won't go for very much longer because I think I'm getting close to my time. I feel like everyone should feel like they don't have to be alone, so including everyone is important to me. These are the words of a 14-year-old kid. He had been good friends with some of his bullies, you know, in the very beginning, but then he started to see that they were excluding people from their group, and he wasn't okay with that. One of the things he said was that he felt like things were never going to stop. The adults around him hadn't been able to stop it. The teachers around him had not been able to put a stop to it. The administration had not been able to put a stop to it. Even us as his parents, as much as we tried, we were unable to put a stop to the bullying that he was subjected to. So he took it into his own hands and he took that swing. And he took his punishment. We stood behind him. He said, overall, they've made a point to make a few of us who are a little different than they are feel like we don't belong. I was a part of their group for a while, but I felt it was unfair that they singled out a few other people and treated them unfairly. I just wanted everyone to get along and make sure everyone who wanted to be included felt like they could be. Nobody should have to feel alone. And that's a point I want to make. That's kind of my closing point, is his words in this. You're not alone in here. If you're treating each other badly, stop. You're all each other have. You truly are. In a world, a big bad world that's out there, you're each other's peers. Lift each other up. Help each other. Carry each other along. Now, I've had a chance to visit with your principal and superintendent this morning, so I don't think this is an issue here. But let me tell you right now, if you're being bullied, tell someone. Don't let it continue to eat at you. Don't let it continue to tear you apart inside. If you go to your friends and your friends are watching it happen, not doing anything about it, go to your parents. If parents can't do anything for you, go to a teacher. Go to the administration. If that doesn't do it, I see a deputy over here, a couple deputies over here, the sheriff. They might not be able to do anything directly, but I guarantee you they can steer you in the right direction. So if you feel like you can't talk to anybody else, go to them. I promise you that they're here to protect you. All of these people are here to protect you. Don't tear yourself apart inside. Take care of each other. And once again, I'm not here because I have to be. I don't go around and do this. This isn't a thing for me. I made the trip down here, 4.5-hour trip, because Preston taught me one thing, and that's to love everyone. No matter what. You love everyone. And so I love each and every one of you in here. Like I said, I don't know you, you don't know me. But on some level, I have love for you as my fellow human beings. I fought in a war for people I didn't know. Take care of each other. You're all you've got. Thank you.